the abduction of passengers on the Abuja-Kaduna train on the 28th of March 2022, negotiations have been ongoing on how all the abductees will be released by the abductors. As such, the recent release of 11 passengers brought about a huge sigh of relief both to their families and the people of Nigeria. But concerns are still on for the remaining 51 or thereabout passengers who are said to be facing some unimaginable and extreme trauma due to the state of the environment they are in and the not conducive and the not too conducive area they are staying for human habitation. This also goes to indicate the lack of access to adequate medical care or life-saving drugs. Reports from those released gave an appalling situation as regards access to water, food, and other amenities to safeguard their lives. They are exposed to the elements, rainfall, sunshine, with no means of defense, and as a result, they are faced with severe, unhealthy consequences. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed increased efforts at safe rescue of the remaining passengers still in custody and to bring the case to a close, as the government is not leaving any stone unturned in its efforts to bring all the hostages back home safe. The Defense, Security and Intelligence agencies gave assurances to intensifying operational engagements to rescue all the hostages and restoring peace to all parts of the country. Today, family members of the captives in a press statement appealed to heads of security agencies to ask a matter of urgency and national importance, bring home their loved ones, and as well appreciate all Nigerians who have continued to pray and work tirelessly behind the scenes for their safe release. This will be our focus for discussion tonight on the program, Nigeria Today, as we bring you update on the abducted AK-9 train passengers some months ago. Welcome to the program. I am Lydia Odijochi. Thank you for joining us. Joining me now to speak and provide more insight on the plight of the remaining abducted Abuja-Kaduna train passengers is Malam Tukur Mamu, Chairman and Publisher, Desert Herald newspaper. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much.
We really appreciate your flying to Abuja just for this purpose.
It is worth doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And
Good evening, Nigerians.
And also joining us is Tijani Lawan. He has a brother among the captives. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
By God's grace, he will come home safe.
By God's grace. Sure.
Now, let me start with Malam Mamu. You have been the man on the forefront, negotiating on behalf of the government and people of Nigeria to see the safe rescue of the abducted passengers. Now, can you give us some deeper insight how it went while soliciting for their release? What was the experience like?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is a very long and frustrating process that requires a lot of patience, that requires a lot of diplomacy, especially in dealing with the kind of characters we have at the moment. And that is why I always keep emphasizing that the situation we are today did not require military action. It is a situation that requires engagement, dialogue, especially in the kind of situation these innocent victims found themselves in. We know they are at the mercy of this terrorist organization that call themselves Ansaru. And these are people we should understand with misguided religious ideology. And these are people that believe they are in a legitimate mission, that if anything happens to them, they believe they are going to the paradise. So in dealing with this kind of people, it is really not easy. People that are willing to kill themselves because of what they believe in. So that is why it is really very, very difficult. And I think it is the same situation why, for example, government or the security forces cannot go after them at the moment. And the only solution whether we like it or not, is to engage them, with all kinds of diplomacy, so that we will see the safe return of these innocent victims. And the situation is really very bad. We are not sending unnecessary alarm, because we are talking out of authority, out of the current situation. Most of us are privy to, and it is really getting late if government did not take necessary action for these remaining passengers to be free. Thank God, we have an opportunity now. The opportunity is that before now, the door to negotiation has been virtually closed. We have succeeded in opening that door. We have succeeded in reaching out to them. They are listening. So I think government on its part must be prepared to take painful decisions. They must be prepared to take painful decisions, especially when you are negotiating at the receiving end. Because we, as Nigerians now, we are at the receiving end, whether we like it or not. Because we cannot go after them and attack them. In any situation, you will only have collateral damages on the part of people that are innocent, on the part of Nigerians that are innocent. That is why some of us, decided to even sacrifice our lives. Not for anything, but if, for example, we will succeed in bringing this to an end. And even if, for example, we have succeeded in rescuing these 51 or 52 passengers, that is not the end. Nigeria must do a lot to contain this crisis, to contain this uncertainty. Because as it is now, there is no way the train will be operational. They gave us their threat. They said that as long as this matter has not been resolved, anybody that uses the train enters the train at his own risk. And you don't joke with people. I think that would have been the reason why government decided to also suspend the resumption of the train. So I think the earlier government decides, for example, to act fast. For example, let me give you a very simple example. Before our engagement, for about 2 months, there has been little engagements, but with no or little progress. And we know where the problem is, especially us, for example, under Sheikh Dr. Ahmad Gumi, that have sacrificed our lives over the last 6-7 months to go to the forest, to talk to the bandits, to understand the message of peace, to come together so that we will we know the grievances. We have done so much that time, and I think that will have been a very good window for the government to explore, to see how we can, get to the root of this matter.
Okay, still on you.
Yeah.
What is the fate of the rest of them held in captive now?
Okay, I can assure you, if the government do the needful, which I believe, they are intensifying efforts. If they do the needful, I can assure you we have the capacity through that engagement and diplomacy to secure the release of all of them within the next 1 or 2 weeks. Because what happened during the exchange when we went to the forest, we engaged them. We said, we don't want this piecemeal. Are you people ready, for example, to give us all the remaining passengers? We talked sense on them, and they promised. They said, as long as this engagement continues, and as long as government listens to them, they are willing to give all the adopted passengers.
All right.
But the main the only problem is, for example, I think on the part of government there is a predicament. The predicament is that, as a government, definitely they will look at so many things before taking especially sensitive decisions that affects national security. So I think that is why, we are having little challenges. But I pray, with the directives of the president, I pray and I hope that, with the commitment they have demonstrated, especially in supporting us to release these 11 captives, if we can demonstrate the same, I can assure Nigerians that this crisis will be over within weeks.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Now, Tijani, to you now. You have a brother there. One can only imagine what you and your family have been going through. Now, can you describe the state of you and your family have been affected how this has affected you and your loved ones, especially their absence, being in custody of these kidnappers.
Thank you very much for having me here. The situation we find ourselves is unimaginable and undescribable, because it has lingered so long, for so long. It's something we're thinking will not be more than 2 weeks, maximum, maybe 3 weeks or so. But we're talking about 87 days, 87 good days. 87 good days in the bush. Thank God for the release of the 11 people that we had. It has given us some respite and some confidence. And we had some message from my brother that they are fine, which is reassuring. But to imagine the kind of situation they find themselves when it's raining, you can always think, when you are about to sleep, you think about them. You are comfortable. In fact, sometimes you feel guilty. You want to eat, you just feel guilty. Are you supposed to be eating? No, you just have to eat. The trauma is the psychological trauma is just too much. That is we that are outside. So the effect is it has affected actually everybody, the captives, as well as we the families. This is just me, and all other families share the same kind of grievances and pressure. Sometimes, for example, especially my mother, the mother of the captive, you can't imagine what she will be into. Sometimes I will feel for myself, I will feel for the captives, and as well as the mothers. Maybe, and if it's a husband that is outside and the wife is there, you can imagine. Life is just halfway. Whatever he's gonna do is not complete. I can't imagine. I always try to make sure that we are very close to the mother and whoever that is affected, just to keep them company, because that's all they need, and keep reassuring them. Prayers all the time.
Okay, now what would be, or what were your reaction to the release or the directive from President Muhammadu Buhari on this matter?
I was very happy and excited, because I expected this kind of directive, open one. I know there must be a lot of directives on the ground. I understand security is not like every other thing. But this kind of directive, I don't think we had something like this since the abduction. We never had this open directive that was given. So I take it as a fresh one, a fresh directive, and it was reassuring. And we just have to thank the president for doing this, even though to me it was a bit late. But it's better late than never. Of course. Yes, of course. And we thank him so much for this. And of course the Speaker, House of Reps, I know he did well. There is another House of Reps that also involved himself, I think Bamidele Salami, that's his name. He came to us. I was here in Abuja when he came. He engaged with us. He took it to the National Assembly. We just have to thank them for that.
We'll take a break now to bring you excerpts of the press statement released by family members of those still held hostage by the attackers of the Abuja Kaduna train attack on the 28th of March 2022. Take a look.
I think I'm running mad at this point, because if you look at the situation, or how do I put it, the situation, the people, the 11 who were released said their living condition is, area infested with snakes, even the water and everything that they have to drink. I mean, it's traumatizing. It's really, really traumatizing. So coping has not been easy. Can just say we are barely existing. We still exist in March 28th, where this event happened. Our life has been on a hold.
Personally, I can't even say it because for 90 days now, or getting to 90 days, there's no day I'll sleep without thinking of my brother. There's no day I will eat without thinking what he's eating. There's no day I will pray and think of what he's been doing at that moment of time. So it's a terrible 90 days for me.
It's a bitter truth, bitter sweet situation because of the remaining people that are still in captivity. It is really traumatic to still have them there, because even every day she is talking about them. Every blessed day. We have been trying to see that sometimes we distract her by using a destructive therapy, but all the same you will find out that she will still recall and start saying, how are they? What are we people doing? So you can see the pressure is still, she's out, but it's still there.
Welcome back. It's still Nigeria Today, and our two guests, Malam Tukur Mamu, chairman and publisher, Desert Herald newspaper, and Tijani Lawal are still here with us. Now, let me come back to you. From the press release, what can you say?
You mean the president's press release?
No, the press release from the family members.
I think we need more of that, especially in a country like Nigeria. We are not doubting the capacity of the government. We are not doubting the capacity of the military to do the needful. But I think we need to sustain the pressure, especially in this political era where most of the politicians, most of those in positions of power and authority are being distracted by 2023, virtually forgetting about these innocent victims. So I think it is quite timely, and I will advise them to be consistent, especially in reminding the government and at least working together with all stakeholders to make sure that this thing comes to an end as soon as possible. It is very, very timely, and I really commend them for what they have been doing.
Okay. Now, Tijani, let's talk about the press conference. Tell us about the press conference.
Obviously, the press conference, as Malam Mamu just said, is to keep reminding the government and as well as all Nigerians of the situation we find ourselves and the urgency that is needed, and of course to mount more pressure on the government to do the needful. We understand that they must be doing something on the ground, but as it is, with more pressure, it will probably quicken the whole process. That's what we feel.
Okay. Now, Chairman, is there any other avenue you think is left that can be utilized, in your opinion, that could facilitate speedy release?
Well, the only avenue that we found very effective, which has worked, is the area of dialogue and engagement with them. Because, as I said earlier, we know their mindset, and they have reason why they decide to attack the train. They have reasons why they decide to abduct these innocent people wrongly, I believe. So, we really need to engage them. Whatever that can be done, maybe thereafter. After we must have succeeded in releasing these innocent victims. Government can go ahead and take, decisive action, for example, that will bring this thing to an end. But I think by and large, the most important thing in addressing this kind of issues, is to go back to the drawing board and address the root cause, especially in the situation where you want to fight terrorism. We have seen so many examples in the world. Recently, we know that America have spent over 20 years in Afghanistan. They have spent trillions of dollars. They have lost so many thousands of military personnel. A lot of Afghans died in the process. But after over 20 years, what happens? They are coming back to drawing board to dialogue. So this kind of war, it is not easy for even the most advanced army in the world to fight. Talk less of, a country where it's struggling, to survive because of so many challenges. So already, the military is overstretched, so many cases of insecurity across the country. So I think most of these things where we use dialogue, the military option is also, can be applied. But in a situation whereby human lives, are involved, I think that there is a need for caution. There is a need for an urgency, especially going back to the threat they have been given lately, and considering the situation these innocent people are in. I raised that alarm And I didn't mean, to at least say, okay, the relatives the reason why I did that, first, the threat is real, and then secondly, we cannot underestimate, what these people can do. When, for example, they said we will stop feeding them, when, for example, they said we will start killing them, it is all the result of engagement, that made them to drop that idea. So if we can achieve that within just 11 days and then succeeded in releasing 11 of them, I think if government will look at the situation, with the speed it requires, and then will be prepared, as I said earlier, to take, decisions, even if it is painful in the interest of these innocent lives, this is something that can be achieved.
Right.
Yeah, but there is no military solution to it. That is the truth.
Okay.
As far as the situation is concerned.
Okay. Now, Tijani, you must have come in contact with the 11 that were released.
Yes.
What condition were they in?
The condition, as we all know, being in the bush, the imagination we had was correct. I engaged with one of the released captives, and we had a lot of things. Some things are not even supposed to be mentioned because, people will exaggerate it, and some may not even be able to take the pressure you may be able to take. But the condition is just harsh, I would just say, to summarize it.
Okay. Let me tell you something. When they brought them on motorbike in the forest, all of us were crying when we saw them, because you can't hold your tears. If you see their condition, I said, all of us were crying. The soldiers, the DSS, everybody was crying. Because you can imagine, very promising people, see them in that kind of condition. Honestly, if you survive in that kind of condition, it is only Allah that survives you, but not because of the condition.
Okay. Now, what would be your final words as we round up?
So the final word is that I'm appealing to the president. I know he is doing a lot, and I know he's on top of this situation, but he should know that time is against us, especially in view of the threats these people are giving.
Okay.
And I'm also appealing to our security agencies to use, whatever that is necessary, especially diplomacy and engagement, to make sure that this thing comes to an end as soon as possible.
Okay.
This is an emergency, and this should be treated as a national emergency.
Okay. Tijani, let's say your final words. What would your wishes be?
My final words would be an appeal to the government to do the needful. Whatever they are doing is slow as far as I'm concerned. We need our family, loved ones tomorrow. Like this, just because today is late, I would have said today. We need them tomorrow morning. Whatever process that it is, there is a plan already that they want to carry out. They just carry out the plan. A plan that you can carry today, you shouldn't leave it until after 2 weeks, and you still carry the same plan. It's better to just carry out that plan and gain more. That's what I would advise, to just quicken the process and let's rejoice.
We hope at the end of the day we shall all rejoice and thank God for his mercies. Well, that's it on Nigeria Today, but just before we go, we must thank our guest, Malam Tukuru Mamu, Chairman and Publisher, Desert Herald Newspaper. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you, Father.
And also Tijani Lawal, brother to one of the abductors still in captivity. Thank you. We understand what you're going through, and we're joining you in prayer. Everything will be well.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Now we want to also thank you, our guests, our viewers, for always keeping the date on the program. You can watch this and other episodes of the program at www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Thank you for watching. I'm Lydia Odiochi saying, see you tomorrow, same time, same station. Goodbye.